Greetings and salutations, guys. I'm here with my review of Spider-Noir, which is the first live-action Spider-Man TV series since the 1970s, really. Now, of course, this is focused on the Spider-Noir version of the character from the comic books. This gritty version of Spider-Man that takes place in the 1930s in a noir world, who is known to mainstream audiences because he was in Into the Spider-Verse, where he was voiced by Nicolas Cage. And here you've got Nicolas Cage in live action playing a different version of this character. Here he is not Peter Parker, he is Ben Reilly. Of course, that character is a clone of Peter Parker in the comics. It's complicated, but he is a ex-superhero when we pick up with him. 5 years before, he hung up his mask. He's working as a private eye when we meet him, and soon he's going to be brought back into the world of superheroics, whether he likes it or not. I think that this show is a blast. I really dig this show, and I love that it embraces its title and its setting to the extent that it does. This is a wonderful 1930s period piece with the noir trappings that you want from it. And, they've got two versions available. They're putting out a color version of this show, and they're putting out a black and white version of this show. To me, the choice is clear between them, which is black and white is the way to go if you're going to only watch this show once, or if you want to watch it twice. I say black and white is the version you should watch first. I've watched every episode in black and white. I've watched the first couple in color. Look, in color, it looks good. I think that they did a really good job of making it look vibrant and have its own atmosphere in color. And so I don't think it's a bad show in color, but I think everything about the way it's shot, the shot composition, the mood, the look, the style, and the setting really begs for that black and white version. And I feel like it really pops in black and white in a way that makes it special, that really had me responding to it. So to me, it's an easy choice if you're looking to, what should I watch first? Watch the black and white version first. Nicolas Cage reprising this role, but playing a different version, because in Spider-Verse, where he was voicing it, he was doing this sort of extreme, James Cagney-ish take on it. Here he is dialing it back. He is Nicolas Cage. Don't worry. He's going to go big eventually. He's going to give you the Nicolas Cage you want, but I think wisely, this is 8 episodes, he's not going crazy start to finish. We meet the guy. He is, he's cynical. He's got that Nicolas Cage drawl, a little bit, pitched in a different direction for the setting for 1930s New York private eye. But yeah, I think this performance is really fun. And there are later episodes where he gets to go wild in the way we want to see him go wild. There are dream sequences. There's flashbacks to him first starting out, getting his powers, figuring them out in the classic Spider-Man way, but with a Nicolas Cage twist on it. There's a sequence where he's not quite in control of his body because he's been drugged, and he gets to go full Cage, and it's glorious. I think the whole cast here is a lot of fun. We've got a lot of twists on classic Spider-Man characters here. The femme fatale who walks into Ben's life, who's going to disrupt everything, is played by Sinners cast member Lee Jun Lee. She's playing Cat Hardy, which is obviously a take on Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat from the comics. Very different version of the character. No, not because she's not white, guys, and I don't care about that. She's just not a cat burglar. She's not running around in costume on rooftops. She's a lounge singer who is romantically involved with a guy who is turning into sand, as in Flint Marko, the Sandman, played by Jack Houston. She needs Ben's help, and that will draw him in closer to trouble involving a gangster named Silvermane, another big character from the comics, played by Brendan Gleeson here. And there are other familiar characters from the comics who pop up throughout. I think everyone in the cast does a great job of embracing both the time and setting of the series, but also the specific genre, and doing slightly heightened performances that aren't going too over the top. I really like Lamorne Morris has Robbie Robertson, who here is an ace reporter, but he is also Ben's best friend and a great sounding board for Ben. And I think that there's some great scenes between Lamorne Morris and Nicolas Cage in this series. I also really enjoy the performance by Andrew Lewis Caldwell as Dirk Layden, aka Megawatt. Now, this is a deep cut character. I think this character has one appearance in the comics, has an electricity-based villain. There has to be a reason they couldn't use Electro and use this guy instead. But I just think that he is giving a great performance here, has a more mannered bad guy, a wise guy, a guy who's, talking in this very fun, old school manner in this series, really embracing, the villainy of it all. In a show that has some nuance to these guys, to the superpowered villains, he is meant to be the outright most despicable, but also can be funny in a dark way. And I think that he is giving a really, really fun performance in this role. This show is going through the noir tropes on purpose, clearly. And so there's going to be doomed romance and betrayals and a lot of the things that you would expect to see in a story like this. Now, is it an example of style over substance? I think to some extent. And then I think the standout aspect here is the style. I don't think this show is not dramatically interesting, but I don't think it's, the deepest, most layered, series I've ever seen. But I enjoyed the story start to finish. It gets a little bogged down in the middle, and there's a couple of subplots I could have done without. There's one about the mayor of New York and his back and forth with Silvermane that kind of feels a little bit half baked as far as this character and his inclusion in the story when he pops up. But by and large, I was into this. I was into what they were telling us about Ben and his world and the flashbacks we get and the backstory we get to how these villains came to be. And yeah, like I said, in the middle of the season, there are an episode or two that I think get a little slower, but I just always would lean back and just really love immersing myself in the world of this series. There just is something about the aesthetic of this show that is so alluring and always, always works to draw you in and to just, admire the artistry here. Huge kudos to cinematographers Darren Tiernan and Peter Deming because they do really exceptional work here. The showrunners on Spider-Noir are Oren Uziel and Steve Lightfoot, who wrote for series like Hannibal and The Punisher, so he comes with a Marvel background here. And Lord and Miller are among the executive producers, who of course make the Spider-Verse movies and brought Spider-Noir, voiced by Nicolas Cage, into the mainstream. No, this isn't as emotionally powerful as the Spider-Verse movies are, but just has its own creation, has its own adjunct to all of this. It really works so well. And man, kudos to them to having the first live action Spider-Man project in so long that wasn't involving Marvel Studios or directly a Spider-Verse animated movie that is this successful, because we all know that Sony has tried and failed with all of their own Spider-Man adjacent movies they've been doing the past few years, and those just didn't work. And artistically, they were, not functioning. But now you've got this show that at least, first of all, it has a version of Spider-Man at the center, but also just feels like it has got a point of view. It is doing something so distinct that makes it stand out in a world of superhero movies and TV shows left and right. This one has its own vibe. This one, really sort of proves its worth in a way that not only in general do a lot of superhero projects struggle to do, but of course the Spider-Man related ones were struggling to do for so long. So it makes me very happy that this is a project from Sony without Marvel Studios, without Lord and Miller directly writing it, though they are producers on it, that just is this successful. And going back to Nicolas Cage, I'll say one thing. He's clearly too old for this role. A guy in his 60s playing this part. The history of the character, the year it's set, he's supposed to be a World War I veteran. How long he was supposed to be the Spider. Feels like he should probably be about 15 years younger. It feels like if he was a guy in his late 40s, that would make more sense with what we know about the character. But you kind of can let it go. I mean, yeah, look, he looks good, and it's Hollywood magic, baby. You just have to kind of pretend Nicolas Cage is 10 to 15 years younger than he actually is. And we can just kind of go with it, I think. I do wish Silvermane as a villain was a little more compelling. They have a cheat code, which is they have Brendan Gleeson. Brendan Gleeson can, deliver any line and give it gravitas, but he's a little bit one note as far as, what he wants to accomplish, what he is as a villain. More interesting are the superpowered villains, his underlings, and this different combination of what their motivations are and how actually evil they are, which is a very different sort of spectrum across the way. And I like all these characters a lot. Didn't love the makeup for Tombstone, played by Abraham Papula, who's giving a good performance, but they do not make him albino here. Instead, they give him these sort of scales And the ridges on his forehead, he kind of looked like a Klingon. So that didn't quite work for me. But everyone else visually, I think, really works. And all the performances work across the board as far as playing these guys and their angst. Spider-Man, of course, has one of the best rogues gallery in all of comics. And it's fun to have a team up here between villains, but such different versions of them. So it doesn't feel like a rehash of something we've seen before in animation or in a live action movie. This is so distinct because they're very separate versions of these characters as far as the era they're in and even the way they act and what their backstories are. And I think it really helps to have it set in the 30s. I think that people are a lot more forgiving. As someone who's not a purist about these things, who's much more like, hey, let's just have fun with adaptations more than a lot of comic book fans can be. I think that people will be much more accepting of the different versions here because it's the 30s. It's such a different version of Spider-Man doing its own thing in so many ways. So yeah, I really enjoy this show. Watching the screeners, I had a big grin on my face for most of it, just thinking like this is cool. They're going for it in a way here that I just really appreciate. And yeah, I just love sort of sitting back and taking in the visuals of this show and the ride it goes on. It's hard drinking, it's hard or smoking. It does stand out in 2026 to have almost every character, including our hero, is smoking cigarettes. But of course, it's era appropriate. There are rumors that's the reason they couldn't let it be Peter Parker is because of the rules about on-screen depictions of Peter Parker, and that this version of Spider-Man being this hard drinking, smoking guy that wouldn't fly. Whether that's true or not, it is just fun to have this character be this distinct guy. He is not the usual version of Spider-Man we know, nor should he be because the multiverse, it's big. There's so many different things going on out there, and this is a really wonderful way to use that concept without getting bogged down in the minutia of it all. So, Spider Noir is going to premiere in two different ways. It's going to be on MGM Plus here in the US on May 25th. And then 2 days later, it'll be on Prime worldwide. So a little bit of a strange rollout distribution wise. But yeah, highly recommend it. Most people, I think, will be watching it on Prime. And I definitely think you should check it out. All right, guys, if you can like and subscribe, I definitely think you should do that too. That's it for now. Thanks.